Welcome to Montana Shares. Today we have Elisa and Melinda with Bike Walk Montana. This is your opportunity to find out a lot more about our member nonprofit groups that we often don't get to see in brochures and things like that. So welcome Melinda and welcome Elisa.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you.
So Melinda, give us a bird's eye view of what Bike Walk Montana is all about.
Well, Bike Walk Montana is a statewide organization, and we work to make biking and walking safer and more accessible throughout Montana. We do that through improving our laws that relate to people who bike and walk. We provide resources and assistance to communities that are working on local initiatives. We provide education to all the different users of the roads. So all different things just to enable and encourage more biking and walking.
Great, it's a great exercise, good thing to be out there doing. Why is this work so important to be doing?
Well, so many times I hear from people that they would like to bike and walk, but they just don't feel safe doing that. There's not a safe route to get from their house to work or to school. They won't let their kids ride to school. And I just think that we need to change that. Our transportation system is really focused around cars, and it's become built that way. And if we can scale that back and rethink about how can we start incorporating biking and walking into that along with the automobile, then we can make safer places for people to bike and walk. And just to give you an example, today I walked downtown and I saw several different people that I knew just when I was walking downtown and was able to talk to them. And that's the kind of benefits that we get when we are able to go out and walk to go places.
Plus we've got such great weather right now. It's a perfect opportunity to be out there enjoying this wonderful weather. Even when it's a little hot, it's still nice to be out there.
Absolutely.
So the opposite of nice weather and hot is legislature and the early part of the year when it was cold again. How do you do with working on laws to improve the situation in Montana?
I think we did pretty well. There were 4 bills that we were supporting this past session, and out of those 4 bills we were able to get 1 through, and that made some really good changes to the bicycle laws. A couple of key points that made, key changes, were that it clarified that a driver can cross the yellow line to pass a bicyclist when it's safe to do so. So rather than a bicycle or a motor vehicle trying to stay right in the same lane as a bicycle, they can cross that line and pass safer. It also clarifies that a bicyclist can ride in the travel lane where motor vehicles go. Oftentimes that's the safest place to be, especially if there's no shoulder or no bike lane. So it clarifies things like that.
And we see a few of those motorized bicycles around. What's the word on those guys?
Well, those used to be classified as bicycles, but under this change to the law, those are no longer given the same provisions as bicycles. Now they're classified as a moped. And another change was that now there's a definition for an electric bicycle, which is a pedal assist. It actually has an electric motor on it versus the gas-powered motor or bicycles.
And that's a moped as well?
No,
that's still a bicycle?
It's given all the same provisions as a bicycle.
Okay.
Yes.
And so you talk about providing education. Can you give us some examples of something like that?
Sure, and this is something that we're still trying to enhance and expand, but a few different things that we do. One is we provide literature that we send out. We send out to event packets or distribute through bike shops, running clubs, through our website. Another kind that we do is we do workshops on bicycle and pedestrian safety. We also teach classes to adults and children on how to ride safely out there. So, and we're continuing to look for other ways that we can get education out there.
Okay. And I forgot to ask a question on law. The laws that did pass, are they in effect right now?
No, they become effective October 1st.
October 1st.
Yep.
But I saw a video from Missoula that already was talking about some of these things.
Right.
Are they just getting a jump on it?
They are, but at the same time, they were already allowed. It was a little bit gray. It wasn't really clear. And so the couple of things that I mentioned as far as passing and where to ride are really made very clear in the law now.
Okay. The video I saw was a really great video. It
so.
had perfect examples of what you're trying to get out there.
Yes.
So what are the key things that people should know about bicycling and pedestrians and right-of-way and things like that?
Well, I think one law that a lot of people don't realize is that every single intersection is a crosswalk, regardless if it's marked or not. And that means that a driver is required to stop for pedestrians at every single intersection and let them cross. And so oftentimes, unfortunately, when pedestrians are trying to cross the intersection, if it's not a marked crosswalk, and even sometimes when it is a marked crosswalk, they stand there and they wait for car after car after car to go by before they can finally cross. So I think that's one that's really important. Another one is that bicyclists need to ride on the right side of the road. That's the law, and it's very dangerous when bicyclists ride on the wrong side of the road against traffic. Also, for bicyclists to use signals so that they can indicate to drivers what their intentions are, and to stop at all traffic signals. And then for drivers to give enough space when passing a bicycle. That is so important, because when you pass too closely, it's very dangerous for the bicycle.
I know I do all three. I drive and I bicycle and I walk, and I have to say, a lot of people, as far as passing, people give you a really wide berth in general. I've found that Montanans tend to be pretty polite. But the one I think that's the total opposite of that is the talking about the pedestrians at the unmarked crosswalks. I find that almost no one stops for pedestrians. So that is a statewide law.
Yes.
That says all intersections the pedestrian has right-of-way. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
Okay. That was something I learned. We share the same office building, and that was something I learned when you moved in. I try to be polite, and I notice in particular, I think one of the students are often the people that are pedestrians, and they're not like us that have the option of driving or not, and they can sit forever at certain intersections that aren't marked, that are unmarked, and before someone stops. And even when I stop and let them go, I'll have people behind me sometimes honking their horn like, why are you stopping for these pedestrians? But I hope everyone will understand that that is the law, and that word gets out.
Yes.
And one thing we try to do with our education is really to educate cyclists, pedestrians, and vehicles. Because it really takes everybody understanding what the rules are and what the laws are in order to be safe. So there's definitely cyclists out there that don't follow the rules or the laws, and there's pedestrians that don't follow the rules and laws, as well as motor vehicles. So we really tried to get everybody involved and educate everybody on this issue.
That brings up a point for me. What if there's a large group of cyclists riding? What's the proper etiquette for cyclists if you're riding in a group, as far as single file or too wide? What can you give us for feedback on that, or maybe give the cyclists feedback on that?
That's a tricky one, because state law is that cyclists are required to ride in single file unless they're on a shared use path or on a shoulder of a road or on a road that has at least two lanes going in the same direction. Then they can ride two abreast. So they are required to ride single file. I will say Montana is only one of 2 states that still has that law, because what is found is that it's safer to ride two abreast than single file. But our state law says single file, so bicyclists are required to ride single file.
So one of 2 states, is that one of your tasks for 2 years from now, is to try to work on that?
Yeah, we worked on that a little bit this session and weren't able to. So we'll work on that again in the future.
Okay. So Eliza, what have you been working on with Bike Walk Montana?
Well, I started really in February, and I have been working on a statewide commuter challenge in May that we put on. In the past, a lot of different local communities have put on state or local challenges for the month of May, including Helena and Bozeman and Billings, and we thought it would be really neat to do a statewide commuter challenge this year.
And so how did that work out? What were the results?
So really what that was is it's a friendly competition to try and get people to bike and walk to work during the month of May. And we do it in the month of May because it's National Bike to Work Month. And so even though it's not always the nicest weather, that's
At least there's not snow most of the time.
There's usually not snow. This year we had pretty good weather. So it's a friendly competition between workplaces to get people to bike or walk to work during the month of May. And so we actually created a whole new website this year that people could go on, and they can register themselves and their workplace and log their miles. So if you bike every single day or just once a week during the month, you can go on and log those miles, and there's different discounts and incentives throughout the month in different communities. So for example, in Helena on Tuesdays, if you rode your bike or you walked to work, you could get a free taco at Taco del Sol.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Did you commute to work?
No, but I would have.
So it was really great. We had about over 1,700 people that were registered and over 250 teams that participated this year. And they were from communities, big ones from Bozeman and Missoula to Malta, Big Forks, really all over the state. We had people participating, and it was really exciting to kind of take that next step. And people were able to still compete in their local challenges, which was really important to us, so that Helena could still have their local challenge sponsored by an organization here, and Bozeman could, but they could also all compete in the statewide challenge. So it was really exciting. We learned a lot, and we're really excited to improve it and make it even better for next year.
Right. The obvious question is, who was the winner of the employer as far as the most miles logged, or whatever the case
So
was?
we break that down into different categories. So somebody with one employee isn't competing against somebody with 500 employees. So you're putting me on the spot. Off the top of my head, I think oh gosh, who
There
was
there was one from Bozeman. I can't remember the name of the company.
TGR? Was one of the winners, and they're from Bozeman. I'm not sure what category they're. I think they're in the 25 to 100 categories. But we had MSU competed, St. Pete's, a lot of the hospitals, and one cool thing this year that we could do is you can challenge people. So the different agencies, FWP could challenge the DNRC and really kind of make it a friendly competition, and people get really into it and really competitive. So it's really exciting.
Great.
And you could go onto the website and see who all the winners are.
There we go. There's the right answer. So Melinda, you say you provide assistance to communities. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure. So communities all throughout Montana are looking for ways to become more economically viable, to promote tourism, to engage more people in walking and biking, because they recognize that that improves health and all the associated benefits with that. So we provide resources to them. We provide assistance in their efforts. So things like providing them sample policies, encouraging them to pass better policies that then directs how their transportation networks are built, that encourages more people to bike and walk. Any kind of questions they have, those kind of things is the type of assistance.
Great. It brings to mind, I'm amazed how much Helena has become a destination for mountain bikers.
Yes.
And so that type of assistance helps out in that type of situation where if the merchants are making an effort and the city's making an effort and you guys are helping them out, they have a lot of economic growth from that.
Right, and we have a lot of communities throughout Montana right now, especially the smaller ones, that are looking at how to tap into bicycle tourism, because there was a report done about a year and a half ago now on bicycle tourism in Montana that showed that they spend a lot of money here, and it's an industry. And so the small towns want those bicyclists to stop in their town and spend the money there. And so we're helping communities to set up bike camps. Stevensville is looking at this right now, as is Lincoln and other small communities across the state.
Okay. Tell me a little bit more about the complete streets policies.
Well, that's one thing that we encourage communities to adopt, and Helena does have a policy as well. And essentially what that says is that anytime a road is reconstructed or constructed, that all users are taken into consideration. So it's not just built for the automobile. What does that road need to accommodate bicyclists? What does it need to accommodate pedestrians? And in some cases, the answer might be nothing. It just depends on the road. In other cases, it might be, well, it needs a bike lane, it needs sidewalks, it needs enhanced pedestrian crossings, whatever that might be, to make it safe and accessible for everyone who's going to use that road system. And so in the last 2 years, there's been at least another 6 policies passed throughout the state, and small communities are starting to pass them. Glendive just passed one, Havre's looking at passing one. So there, again, it's a way for them to incorporate biking and walking into their projects.
Right, it's a win-win. If you're going to have to reconstruct the street or the sidewalk anyway, you might as well make it as accessible for everyone as possible.
Right.
So another kind of interesting program is the Trails RX program. And I'd never heard of this one, but tell us about it.
This is a great program. We partnered together with Montana State Parks on this. She was very interested up there with the recreational trails program. And we developed a whole program that we partner together with medical providers and local parks departments or land managers, whereas the medical provider actually issues prescriptions for walking using local trails. And so this is a way to get people who are in need of physical activity to start walking. Maybe it's people that have diabetes or are overweight or just aren't getting any physical activity. If they get a prescription from their medical provider saying, here, you need to walk so many days a week, so far, so many minutes, so many days, they're more apt to do it than just trying to do it on their own.
That's wild. That's interesting.
Yeah, and Helena's doing that. We have several communities now that are adopting that kind of program, and it's very successful.
Mm-hmm. I've always been impressed when you drive by the Capitol or walk or bike by the Capitol at the appropriate time of day, all the number of state employees that are encouraged to walk and walking around the Capitol and the various Capitol complex area. It's heavily participated in. Mm-hmm. So Eliza, what are some of the other health benefits of biking and walking?
Well, Bill, there's really a lot of benefits to biking and walking, from health to environmental to economic, and we've kind of alluded to a lot of them, but everything from reducing greenhouse gas emissions to improving local air quality to getting people out and having more recreational opportunities and sustainable commuting options, and really just better health for individuals and communities as a whole. We really live in a car-centric world right now, and a lot of people are driving, and not a lot of Montanans commute or bike to work. And if you were to bike or walk to your destination, for every 5 miles that you bike or walk, that reduces 5 pounds of CO2 going into the atmosphere, which can really add up and make a big difference, especially when we have a lot of local air quality issues here in Helena and throughout the state. So it really does make an environmental impact to leave your car and start biking and walking. Mm-hmm. We also know that there's a big problem with obesity in this country, whether it's adults or children. And so we've got kids ages 2 to 5 that already are obese and are getting type 2 diabetes and heart disease and all these things that are really detrimental to their health and in turn the community's health. So making walking and biking and putting that kind of in your daily routine and making that part of your daily routine and making it a habit, especially at a young age, is really important. We spend a lot of money on healthcare in this country as well, and so being able to reduce that by these preventative measures and these preventative diseases is really important. And then finally, as Melinda alluded to, the economic benefits of biking, both bike tourism of people coming into Montana, but also the benefit of people staying close to home and being able to bike and walk to grocery store or whatever shop it might be. A lot of studies tend to show that people that bike or walk, they visit stores more often. They tend to go to the local stores because those are the ones that are within walking or biking distance. They go more often, and they look for houses within a neighborhood that is walking and biking friendly. And so there really are a lot of benefits, and creating the appropriate laws and infrastructure is really important. Even if you're not somebody that is an avid biker or a walker and you drive, it's okay, but it's still, creating a safe and accessible culture around biking and walking is really beneficial to the entire community. So it goes beyond what one person is doing.
Right. Well, I think that's probably a great thing to close on, is just the benefit to the entire community for getting out there and exercising in various ways. So thank you for coming and listening to us today, and thanks for talking to us about what Bike Walk Montana is all about. And please check in. We've got Youth Connections here in our next show.